welcome back to the Mustang Halftime Show. It's time for our segment called Mustang Memories. And we take time just to catch up with some former student athletes and coaches that have made a huge impact on the legacy and the culture of Oologah High School. And when we first started talking about doing this segment, the first guy, the first name that came to my mind, and he's done a little bit of everything from being starting Mustang quarterback to former state representative, is none other than Tad Jones. And I could go on and on and on about a long list of accomplishments. I don't want to steal Tad's thunder, so I'm just going to let him tell his story. Tad, first of all, welcome to the Mustang Network. Man, it is so good to see you, even through this miracle of technology.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here, Brent. Sure to appreciate it.
Let's get started first with where you are now. Let's talk just a little bit about family, because you're coaching some kids, and let's talk a little bit about everything you do here in the Oologah and Rogers County area. Just update us on where you are now.
Well, I've got the dream job. I'm working at the Will Rogers Memorial. I'm the director there, which is the memorial and the birthplace ranch. And, of course, I lived in Claremore, just outside Claremore, went to school in Oologah, so I've been around it my entire life. Married one of my classmates, Samantha Hamilton, and so Sammy and I have now married here in Claremore. We've got 4 boys. The oldest is 16, 14, 10, and a 7-year-old. Fourth one was my redhead, so it took 4 tries for that. But great boys, and we homeschool them right now, and it's just been a real blessing. And so that's where we're at. We're just living here in Claremore and working for Will Rogers.
So let's talk about some of those Mustang memories. Let's go back a little bit. Several years ago, there was an article that was released that said Oologah was the most successful high school football program in the 1990s. There were, I think, 4 state title game appearances, and in the 90s, they won 2 of those state titles. And Tad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, this all started under those teams that you were the guy taking snaps and quarterback. And so, like, what led to the success in those early 90s of the team that Oologah experienced back in there? What were some of those keys to success?
Well, Coach Williams made a believer out of you. I mean, he was a fantastic coach, had Coach Keim on the defensive side. And, my sophomore year, we went 1-9 my freshman year, the high school did. And then my sophomore year, we made that first playoff game. We had to go in the playoff, or in the last game of the season, had to win to get the playoffs, won that game to get in the playoffs. So that was our start. And then the next year was the best team of all the teams I played on, I think, my junior year, as far as athletically. We had size, we had speed, and that was a great football team. And that built that confidence in us that we could win games. And Coach Williams just made that belief in us. He painted our face mask red because he read somewhere about, red gets you aggressive. So we had the red face mask with all the other blue and gold. And so, we just believed in ourselves, and Coach made us think that we could win any game.
So when you think back to those years, were you starting quarterback for 2 years, your junior and senior year?
And so I did sophomore year for most of the games, yeah.
So let's talk about some of your favorite memories. Like, when you think about that era of your football career, is there a play? Is there a moment that sticks out the most in your memory?
Well, I think it's not a play, it was a halftime speech by Coach Williams that I really think changed the entire trajectory to make us believe. We're playing Cleveland. We were undefeated. We're down a couple of touchdowns. And in the halftime, he gave a speech where he said, "I believe," and then we all said, "I believe," and then he said, "I believe." We all said, "I believe," and we went out of the locker room, came back down 14 in the fourth quarter, went into triple overtime, I think, double or triple overtime, beat them. And that was, to me, the time when we changed and said we can win any game. And then we went on. I think we beat Collinsville in overtime that year and went undefeated. And then that was the foundation of us winning. And then the next year, of course, we went undefeated again in the state championship. But to me, that speech always stands out. There's plays here and there that pop out, like the semifinals against Seminole my senior year, where I get hit throwing a pass, and Sean Mullen makes a great catch over the shoulder. On a 4th down play, my brother took a picture of it where Sean Mullen catches a pass with 2 guys on his back. He's got the fingertips. We don't catch that, we lose. So there's a few of those. But as far as the moment, it was Coach Williams' halftime speech against Cleveland that I think turned the corner, that we believed we could do anything.
Do you still have any relationship or talk? Because when you battle in the trenches like that, coaches, players, you become a true band of brothers. Do you still have relationship? Do you talk to those former teammates and coaches?
We do. I mean, Coach Brian Hicks is a good friend of mine. We talk quite a bit, and he brings Coach Williams down every now and then. We got to have dinner with him a year or two ago. Dax Burchett, keep in touch with, our kids are starting to play against each other, and we see him here and there. But when we had Coach Williams down a couple of years ago, we went to a basketball game in Oologah. We had lunch with him at the Hammond House and just reliving a lot of those memories. There's just a lot of fun. So every now and then we do get to keep up with him. Of course, Facebook helps you see what everybody's doing.
Absolutely. So yes, famous for being an Oologah quarterback, but there was also this pimped out van that you had when you were in high school. Did that thing have a nickname? What was it would do wheelies too. Didn't they bring it out on the track and do wheelies with it?
Oh, yeah, if it did wheelies, but it was the Mustang mobile. And my dad had it from back in the 60s. I think it was a 68 Ford van, 3 on the column. The Rainbolt family that went to Oologah, fixed it all up and souped it up. The only air conditioner were 2 little fans in the back. But, we drove that back and forth to Oologah football games, and I just loved that van. And then after I went to Ole Miss, we gave the van to Oologah, and they had it for several years. I don't know. It's probably deteriorated now, but they had it for a number of years and had it on the field.
Yeah. You brought up college. You landed a pretty big D1 scholarship that took you to Mississippi. Talk a little bit what happened to Tad Jones after you graduated high school.
Well, I had a chance to go either Division I or Division II. I had one of the Oologah coaches said, "Hey, Tad, you'll always regret it if you didn't try Division I." And I just fell in love with Ole Miss. So I went to Ole Miss, absolutely loved it. But after my first semester, they fired the offensive and the defensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator recruited me, but I still loved it. I stayed another year and a half, but I wasn't going to play under the new coach. So I transferred to Tulsa, had to sit out a year under the transfer rules. But then the next year I was the backup quarterback. And first game of the season, I'm on the sidelines with my clipboard and my hat on, and the starting quarterback runs over and gets hurt. And I was in the ball game. And, you prepare. I love football. And you prepare 4 years for kind of a moment. And I got to go out. We won the game. And it was really a dream come true. And the little guy from Oologah that was way too skinny to be playing had a chance to play on the big stage and win a game. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, I remember rooting for you and cheering for you, even though – and you would have played Oklahoma State in that time frame. Matter of fact, didn't you guys beat us once?
Yeah, we came in my senior year, played a little bit in that game, but we had a great comeback. From our perspective, it was a great comeback in the fourth quarter to win that game.
Let's not talk about that. So you also then stepped into the arena of politics. Talk a little bit about your work in Oklahoma City. How long did you serve in politics?
Yeah, I'd always just loved American history, world history, and just always wanted to serve. And in 1998, opportunity came up. I ran, got fortunate enough to win and serve for 12 years. And so really enjoyed it. I was ready to get out, though, after 12 years. Politics is pretty tough. I was ready to do other things, but it was a great experience. Got to do a lot of good things and meet a lot of great people during that time.
Well, some of my fondest memories from high school are I was in the band and we were cheering on that Mustang. Man, that Vegas gold and blue is just absolutely beautiful. And going those playoff runs all the way to Stillwater to play in the state championship game. And, man, I remember some of those memories when we were at Moore and playing Seminole. Boy, those were some tight games. And on behalf of the Mustang family, Tad, I just want to say we're proud of you and we're grateful for your investment because really that Mustang magic and that Mustang legacy, it started back in those early days. Your freshman year, you went 1-9 and then all the way to lead us to a state championship game. So, man, we're so grateful for the just investment in keeping and preserving the memories of Will Rogers and what you do with your work today. So on behalf of the Mustang faithful, man, I just want to say thank you for what you do and what you've meant to this community. So
thank you. And Oologah means a bunch to me. And I still remember those days at Oologah and playing football. And I've been showing my kids the old film so they can start loving football too. So great memories there.
Tad, thanks for your time. We'll be back with more of the Mustang Halftime Show right after this.